Okay, so continuing from flame tests, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at this guy here, Gustav Kirchhoff, and what he basically did was he used spectroscopy in order to find new elements. Okay, so what he did was he took an element, an unknown element, so this is my unknown, and he used the flame test, so he burnt it using a flame, and then he divided the light that the unknown element made. He divided the color using a prism, and in this first one he found that it made like a sky blue color, and because of this he called it cesium, because cesium literally means sky blue. Then what he did was he took another unknown element and he did exactly the same thing. So he used the flame test, he looked at the light that it produced through a prism, and he found that it was dark red. So he called it ruby, meaning red color, dium, dark red. So he called it rubidium, and that's that. So this is spectroscopy. He used this test, used a prism, split the light, see what color it makes. If it's a new color that you've never seen before, it makes a new element. And he discovered cesium, sky blue, and rubidium, dark red. And those were two new elements that he found using this spectroscopy method. Now what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at how to detect and the test for chloride ions and sulfate ions. I just want to show you this question. Okay, so this is one of the questions that came up in a 6-mark question for your for C2 in the past. Okay, it says you have two samples, one of sodium chloride and one of sodium sulfate. State how you will carry out tests for sodium and then either for sodium chloride or for the sodium sulfate. Now, like I said guys, you got to get used to splitting your page for a 6-mark question appropriately. So I would have split it into test for sodium, write about that, then test for chloride, write about that, and if they asked for the third one as well, which they don't, but I'm just showing you, then I would do test for sulfate ions as well. Okay, so we know how to test for sodium because that was in the previous video. Sodium gives off a yellow flame. Remember, you wouldn't eat yellow snow. Would you eat yellow snow? Nah, you wouldn't. So now we're going to look at the test for chloride ions and the test for sulfate ions. I'm going to show you the story time again, that I remember in order to not forget the method. Okay, so here's the test for chloride ions. So chloride ions. Now the thing is, all of this that I'm saying would happen if there were chloride ions. If there was no chloride ions, the end result would not form a precipitate, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's pretend that there is chloride ions at the moment. Now how do I remember this story? I look at this Chloe bit and I turn it into a girl's name. This girl's name is Chloe. So chloride ions, my trigger word is Chloe. Now Chloe is a bit of a snob, okay, very expensive girl to treat. Really, she's gonna bankrupt you. And one day she asks her boyfriend, she says, you know what, I'm hungry, I want a chicken and chips, but I'm not gonna have any chicken and chips because I'm not like that, I'm not like any other girl. I want a chicken and chips that's gonna cost you £1 million. And so the boyfriend, he ends up saying, so let me write the boyfriend, he ends up saying, hell no, hell no. Can you see HNO3? So you take your chloride ions, your sample, and you add HNO3. Now HNO3, can you see HNO3? HNO3 is nitric acid, so you need to add nitric acid to your sample. And the boyfriend, not only does he sell hell no to her, he gives her a good shake as well, just to knock her into her senses. Now of course we're not we're not encouraging domestic violence here, of course, but shakes her as well. So you need to shake the solution. Then obviously Chloe, the poor girl, is very, very upset at this. So Chloe ends up being upset. Chloe is upset. So the guy's like, you know what, I need to make it up to Chloe, because you know what, she's not bad. She's a bit ridiculous, but she's not bad. So the boyfriend ends up saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to give you a nice expensive gift. I'm going to give you a gift of silver. Obviously that's expensive. Nitrate. Lol. So basically, silver nitrate you need to add to the solution after shaking it. Right? So once you've added your silver nitrate solution, Chloe is very happy again. Yes. Result. And Chloe ends up being very happy, and she ends up turning into and being reunited and turning into a white precipitate. Remember, this means a solid, so you'll see a white solid, and the precipitate itself is called silver because you've just given her the silver. And Chloe of course is the trigger word for chloride. So you end up right at the end of this, you end up having a silver chloride precipitate. Now remember when I said right at the beginning, where if there is no chloride ions, you will not get a silver. So you can carry out all of this test, but if there's no chloride ions, if Chloe's not there, you will not have the silver chloride precipitate. Right? Because they might sometimes ask, I've seen it asked somewhere, what's the test, and then what if chloride is not even present? Then you've kind of got to say, well, you do all of this, blah 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 blah, but because chloride is not there, you will not have a white precipitate being formed. The next test is for sulfate ions. So now, again, this is another story. The way I remember it is via a story, and this sulfate reminds me of the word sulca. And so this story is going to be a mafia story. Okay, so it's going to be a story about a mafia kingpin. Alright, so it's going to get a bit gruesome here, guys, unfortunately. Now, the mafia boss has heard about this sulca, and he's not happy at all. The sulca's been talking to the wrong people, and the mafia boss has found out. So what he's going to do is he's decided enough's enough, this sulca's got to go, and he adds him to a bath of hydrochloric acid. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, what the heck is going on with Mr. Hader's head? I'm sorry guys, it just works this way. So he adds it to a bath of hydrochloric acid. So what this means is that you take your sulfate ions and you add hydrochloric acid. Then, just to make sure that the job is done, the mafia boss ends up stirring the solution, that is the sulfate ions, or the sulca, with the hydrochloric acid, just to make sure the job is done. So this sulca is not surviving. So now the mafia boss, let's change the color because I'm getting bored of this color. Let's say the mafia boss now has an issue. He's got this dead sulca on his hand that's just been put in a bath of hydrochloric acid and stirred. So he says, okay, now I need to get rid of the sulca. So how is he going to get rid of the sulca? And he says, you know what, I'm going to have to bury him. He says, I'm going to have to bury him. So what does he do? Oh, this is a horrible color. Let me change color. So what he does is he buries him in, watch this guys, watch this. Barium chloride. So he buries him in barium chloride. Barium chloride. Barium chloride. Do you see what I did there, guys? I think it's quite genius. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And once you do that, once you bury him in the barium chloride, so that's what you need to add. You need to add barium chloride. It's going to form, once again, a white precipitate if there was any sulfate to begin with. Now, what is this white precipitate called? This white precipitate in this instant is going to be, well, we've buried him, and we've buried who? We've buried the sulca. So it's barium sulca sulfate. Does that make sense, guys and girls? Well, this is an amazing story, if I do say so myself. I'm well chuffed with that. You can rewind it, go through it again, and can you see how it answers the 6-mark question beautifully? Now the final one that I need to talk about is calcium carbonate. Carbonate, CO3 2- or carbonate. Now you should know this from C1. The test for carbonate is to bubble carbon dioxide through lime water, and it will turn lime water, and it will turn a milky, cloudy color. We say cloudy, and it will turn cloudy. Is that okay, guys and girls? Brilliant. I'm happy. All happy. Are you happy? Well, if you're happy, then I'm happy. If you're not happy, then I'm not happy. So let me know if you're happy. And if you are happy and you know it, you know what to do. Clap your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Clap your hands.